Welcome back to News Talk. This is a time of innovation and outright experimentation in the American workplace. One company deciding to get rid of the bosses, regular employees now making the decisions. Other firms are relaxing vacation rules, basically telling employees, take as much time off as you want, as long as the work gets done. In our Friday Focus on You this time, we look at how our offices are changing. Work-life expert Mary Abijay, president of the Careerstone Group, with us again. Good to have you here.
Hey, Bruce, how are you?
Welcome back.
Can we give a holla for holacracy, which is what we're going to talk about?
I don't know that term, but I guess I know how it manifests in the workplace because we're seeing, and not to say this is also widespread yet, although we can be sure that if these things succeed, they'll be copied. What to you are the most interesting things? The wrinkles, the innovations, the experiments now taking place?
Yeah, well, the big one is holacracy, which is everyone's talking about, and that is
that H-O-L-A?
H-O-L-A, C-R-A-C-E. And what that is what Zappos is doing, where they're getting rid of the bosses, they're flattening out the organization, they're distributing power. So this is a big sort of workplace trend, like all the new age workplace gurus are all on top of it. And it's really interesting to watch. So what they're doing is they're taking the, power has been distributed at the top, like tightly held, but what holacracy does is it distributes the power down below. So instead of having all the power with one or two bosses, it's democratizing the workplace so that these different levels of organizational spheres now have the power to do what they want. I'm
sure folks will be watching this intently to see how this plays out, because one envisions, among other things, huge meetings with way too many people and no leader to guide, to set a vision or to guide the thing. I mean,
well, you're right about
do we know anything about how this is working in the places they're trying?
Yeah, we do. All right. So first of all, it takes a very long time to implement because it is a radical change from how organizations do this. So they say it takes anywhere from 3 to 5 years to transform your organization. So how it works is that it's not completely non-hierarchical, okay? So you organize your organization. I know it's funny. I'm trying not to laugh, and you're laughing. In what they call circles, okay? And so you do have a hierarchy of circles. You have high circles, and then think of your circles as departments. So the higher up circles say, here's what we need you to do. Here are your goals. And then the lower circles self-organize, and they spread decision-making and power among themselves. So you were right. It requires a lot of meetings, and it's very structured. Like there's a whole language you have to learn to operate in holacracy. And you have to, things are brought up for vote. It's democratized within those circles. We have talked a lot during our segments with you about the influence of millennials in the workplace. Is this the type of idea or concept where millennials are, based on their sort of upbringing in the modern era, more equipped, and maybe even does this dovetail nicely with their sort of default setting on how they interact with others, as opposed to people of the World War II generation or the Gen Xers or the baby boomers? Well, I think it might, and I think it might for two reasons. One is they were brought up in what we call democratic family systems, so they're used to having a say in things, and so they want that at work. So I think that will help them adapt to this new way. But the other reason it will adapt is they're just not used to the old way. Like it is really hard when we're used to a certain power structure to have that changed radically. In fact, Zappos is so keen on this that they recently said you're either in or you're not in, and they lost 14% of their workforce that said, holacracy, I'm not giving a holler for that. And is it too much Lord of the Flies for some people? It is a little Lord of the Flies, and it's very time consuming, and it's very inward looking. It is really good in a couple of things. So what they're doing is distributing power to those in the front line. So if you see something wrong, you have the power to fix it. But what it also takes is a lot of meetings. It takes learning a new language. It's not really outwardly focused, it's inwardly focused. So it's really interesting. I wonder whether assertive people become the new bosses at a lot less pay, in all likelihood, and whether the quiet, introspective, shy people end up getting trampled and don't speak up or don't get their ideas heard or sold. And I worry about that too. And really, the jury is still out on this. There's only a handful of companies. Zappos, I promise you, is the only one you've ever heard of that's doing it. There's maybe 30 or 40 companies that are doing it. But what happens is they say that the structure is very structured. Think about having a constitution and rules. It's like a democracy. Okay. You've got to follow these parliamentary procedures. And so they say that takes away the office politics. But I disagree. I think whenever you put human beings together, you have office politics. Because even in the democracies within the circles, you've got to gain votes, right, for your idea. So I'm not so convinced it's going to get away with office politics. I agree with you.
It is interesting that people are experimenting in such a bold way, and that they're rethinking the same, not just doing everything the same old way, because there could be innovations that are really beneficial for the organization and the individuals, and I'm sure this will be scrutinized, and as we said a moment ago, if it works, it'll be copied.
Yeah, and I think elements of this are really great, and I think elements of this will be copied, and one of the great benefits of the holacracy is that it really does empowers people on the front line, those closest to the actual work, to be able to make decisions, to make what they call rapid micro iterations of things, as opposed to large-scale change that can quickly change because they have the power to do so, systems and processes that are not working for the organization.
What about organizations that are doing away with the traditional, here's how much vacation you have, once you take that time, you're done, and until the new year.
This is a big thing that's going on. Netflix is doing this. I believe Zappos is doing this. And what they're saying is they have found that if they really trust, you've got to have the right employees, though. If they really trust the employees and the employees are getting their job done, they say that some people actually take less vacation time. I have to tell you, like, I have a vacation policy in my company. I never track anybody's time, and they don't take any time. It's funny, but I do think that is a wave of the future. And I think that could potentially work, but you have to have the right employees.
Does it mean unlimited vacation?
It means unlimited vacation, but it also means in order to do that, you have to have accountability. So if you're responsible for doing your job, it would be harder for you, because if you are on vacation, then who's anchoring,
Not once they perfect the whole Wi-Fi thing.
Right, that's true.
I'm anchoring on,
Or the hologram thing. You can hologram yourself in. But if you're in charge of, let's say, a department or something, and you have deliverables, if you're getting those done and that work is being done, then why not let you take unlimited vacation time? But the thing is, you have to remember, the companies that do that get really high-performing employees. They actually choose employees who are kind of workaholics anyway, so they haven't seen too much abuse of the system.
Is there a downside to not disconnecting? I hate to ask that in a double negative way, but
there is a downside.
I'll flip it around and say, are there benefits to being away from office and not working for everyone involved, the organization as well as the individual, that are put at risk in a system like this?
Yeah, no, there are. I mean, I think that it is. You do need to disconnect. I mean, there are study after study shows the importance of it. And study after study also shows that managers and leaders in organizations have to model taking time off and disconnecting. So in places with the unlimited vacation time, there's definitely a push to have the managers take some time off, because you're not going to take time off if your manager isn't taking time off, or if your peers aren't. So you do have to make it okay to take time off.
Do you ever talk to employees who leave vacation on the table, and what do you say to them when you find that out?
I mean, other than myself, who never takes vacation, I say take your vacation. I will give the whole spiel, like it is important to recharge.
Why don't you practice what you preach?
Because I love what I do, Bruce, and I would hate to miss any of it. Like, I would hate to miss a time with you, but it is important. I was just thinking that 2016, I'm going to have to take some time off, because you do need to recharge. So I tell employees to take their vacation time. It's important. It's good for your mental health and your physical health.
Clearly, some of these innovations or experiments are powered, if you will, by the technology. I mean, you could be at the beach in August with your family, and you could leave the beach an hour, the mom, the dad, whoever the employee is, could leave the beach an hour before everyone else, go home, sit at the computer, do an hour and a half worth of emails, get a lot done, still be in the vacation locale, still be on vacation mentally for the most part, but the work feels like the trains are still moving down the track.
They're still moving down the track. Yeah, a lot of that is powered by technology. It's also powered by some of these workplace revolutions that we're seeing, is powered by competitive spirit. Like we have, with as you said, the new generation of workers coming in. Organizations have to transform in order to adapt to the changing environment and the changing workforce. Mary Abijay is head of the Career Stone Group. She's a regular part of our Friday Focus on You rotation. It is always great to have you here. I'm going to hold you to the 2016, even if it impacts us, because we'll figure out a way to make it work. Oh, no! I know, right? Have a great holiday. Thanks very much for your time, as always. Good to see you, Mary. When we return, Bryce Harper named National League MVP. Andy Pollin on deck with that and more. Keep it here.